Firstly, location, right? The obvious answer here is to go with the closed Chuck E. Cheese location. Chuck E. Cheese recently has closed 34 locations across the US, with locations closing in California, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Iowa, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wisconsin. So, any of these locations could be used as a potential first location at the very least, with some states having multiple closures. Buying one of these locations would be expensive, and online I couldn't find any real reports on how much it would be. You'd have to work that out with Chuck E. Cheese. However, to open and operate a Chuck E. Cheese location would range from $1.17 million to $1.83 million, with a franchise fee of $800,000, according to Chuck E. Cheese's section of franchisehelp.com. So assuming the higher end of the price range, this would require an investment of around $2.63 million, not taking into account that these locations are closed and they're probably just looking to break even on it and maybe not make money. But which state should we be selecting? Well, looking on Google Trends, we can actually see what states search for Five Nights at Freddy's the most. Looking for the search term Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, since that would be the name of the location, we see Virginia searching it the most over the past 12 months as of April 2021, followed by Florida, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Texas in that order. Comparing that to our list of states, Virginia is the state with the highest search and has a close location in Fredericksburg. And I don't know about you, but the fact that it's in Fredericksburg, like Freddy, that seems like fate to me. But there is also the thought of Florida, who is the second most searched and is only slightly less searched, so it's like a close second, and has multiple Chuck E. Cheese restaurants closed, located in Miami, North Lauderdale, Miami Gardens, and Green Acres, so there is room for expansion. Florida is also a popular tourist spot thanks to the Disney park in Orlando, where I would go with my family. I think we went 2 or 3 times. So it's probably a better idea to go with Florida's Miami location, even though Orlando and Miami aren't really that close, but it's still centralized, okay? And everything's open in Florida, so you can start work on it right away. So the Miami Chuck E. Cheese location is the first one to be bought by Scott Cawthon. What would it look like? Well, many fan creations always make it appear the same as just a normal Chuck E. Cheese, but replacing the logo and text. Probably the most famous one being the image used in MatPat's old FNAF theories. But we could take this one step further. Since the inside of the restaurant is already seen in-game, we can take that same design concept and just convert it to real life. I feel like that's pretty obvious. And a 10 Pirate Ride. Given that this is already in the style of a game in FNAF VR, certainly does help in porting this to an arcade cabinet, but there would be some things that they'd have to change, like turning it into one of those classic shooter arcade games where the screen scrolls as you fight off bad guys threatening innocent civilians, and it tells you what to shoot and what not to shoot. Yeah, that's the kind of arcade game I see this as, except instead of scrolling sideways, it moves forward like the cart does in the ride in FNAF VR. It could just be a simple aim and shoot kind of thing, but maybe they could add some animatronics sneaking in and throwing some cake or pizza at you that you'd have to shoot to block. This would be in order to end the game early, so that you'd then have to pay more tokens, or just straight up money depending on how the system was run, but based on modern practices I think it would be a token system because it probably would end up making them more money in the long run. And at 9, fun with Plush Trap. Fun with Plush Trap is a simple game that would operate much like it did in FNAF 4 for the arcade cabinet. Despite having more of a presence in FNAF VR, the simplicity of the controls in FNAF 4 would be exactly how this game operates, just in an arcade cabinet, which would require you to just push a button to get the light to shine, and then you let go of it to turn it off and allow Plush Trap to move, giving you the 60-second countdown to a jump scare if you fail to stop him before the timer, or if he gets to you before you stop him. It's a simple game with a simple premise, but it would work incredibly well for an arcade machine, and I think plenty of people would play it. And maybe you could have multiple levels like Donkey Kong style, with various smaller nightmare animatronics like Fun with Nightmare Balloon Boy, Fetch, Mini Arenas, etc. Assuming that Plush Trap isn't a form of Fetch already. And today, Plush Babies. The 2 Plush Baby mini games where you have to look around for the various somehow animated baby plushes before they get to you is an interesting concept that with some tweaking could work for an arcade cabinet. It would require a joystick as the spotlight following the joystick, you just move it around to move the spotlight, but it's something that I think would work kinda well, but it would have to be done right. I don't know exactly what done right would look like. I'm an ideas guy, okay, I'm not a programmer, but I'm sure that it wouldn't be that difficult to work out, I hope. It wouldn't be be as detailed or scary as the main minigame in FNAF VR, but it would still be something that would work decently well. It may not be the most popular game at the arcade, but that's why you have multiple levels, including the hard mode one and the DLC one in the pumpkin patch. Plus, that's why it's only number 8, because it would be harder to get done properly. And at 7, Vanny. With Vanny being the villain in the last game and already one of the most popular characters in the entire series, I know that she's not an animatronic, okay, but chill. There are bound to be plenty of costumes of the character. However, this specific one from Rojita Uwu on Twitter is probably the most accurate and creepiest one I've seen. And yes, I said Uwu with a straight face, and let's ignore it. Vanny being a reluctant follower does in a way technically make this also a glitch trap cosplay as well. We won't talk about it because that's not what counts unless you want to consider glitch trap an animatronic, in which case it's totally fine if you want to think that. This costume is probably the most realistic one on this list because, well, I mean, Vanny in the games ended up making her own suit and it's just a human inside, whereas the others like Scrap Baby or Springtrap are animatronics as well as being part human, be it soul or another body. And Rojita's costume actually follows the exact same concept. It's just a person who makes their own suit, which potentially makes this the scariest thing of all, but honestly, considering how she is currently the serial killer in the series, at least the version that actually has like proper working limbs, I would very much appreciate not seeing a real Vanny delivering me my pizza balls. No thanks. And at 6, Buff Helpy. Okay, so this may not be like cosplay or a costume that someone could reasonably wear, but Buff Helpy is probably the most disturbing non-cosplay character that I can really include on this list. If you don't already know, somehow, Buff Helpy is a meme that was created on a Daco FNAF meme review video and has ever since been haunting him and the rest of the community. Okay, don't get me wrong, I do love Helpy, but this Buff Helpy meme generated a whole load of buff FNAF character ideas that now terrify me. Nowhere is safe from these horrific creations. If you look up any character, you're bound to find a buff version of them at some point. It's kind of like those games where it's like, let's search up a character and see how long it takes them to be sexualized, and then they scroll down. Do that with a FNAF character, but see how fast it makes them buff, okay? It's the same thing that happens to Chica, but buff, okay? No matter what this is, like what form of psychological torment this is, I would not wish it on my worst enemy. However, I'm talking about it because, you know what? It's hilarious. If Buff Helpy showed up delivering my pizza, I would constantly order from this place. Not because I want to see some like buff shirtless dude in a Helpy mask actually hand me my food, but because that is the most genius marketing ploy ever, and I would be very proud of them. Halfway through into number 5, Nightmare Freddy. Nightmare Freddy is one of the most iconic versions of the Freddy character, even if there are only 3 games that feature them, those being FNAF 4, Ultimate Custom Night, and FNAF VR. However, this Nightmare Freddy cosplay is absolutely insane, and in my opinion, it would have been the front runner for the Coupe de France cosplay competition, but that was back in 2017. The video was uploaded by YouTube channel Gorgon Geek, and this guy plays the robot thing very well, but as soon as he drops that microphone, he goes into like terror mode, which is certainly something to behold, okay? I would have enjoyed it if he had the frettles with him, but the moving mouth is certainly a nice touch on this costume, especially with the attempted jump scares that they do in the video, like the Imagine if this guy got up on stage in a freaking Nightmare Freddy costume and then just started twerking. That would have won them the gold, okay? I don't know if they won or not, but that if they had it, that's what would have gotten you the gold, okay? But also, if Nightmare Freddy was the one delivering me my pizza, I don't think that I would actually end up eating it, just from sheer fear that they would have poisoned it, or maybe you put too many chili flakes on it. I mean, like, come on, look at me. In it for Nightmare. I've said it before and I will say it again. Nightmare is the scariest animatronic from these games, hands down. Get it? Because I put my hands down. This guy will get me every time, and it's one of the reasons that I refuse to play FNAF 4. The other one is Nightmare Fredbear, okay? But at least I don't have to really deal with them in real life, right? Oh wait, yeah, just talked about it. This is only like a nightmare character created in the mind of a coma patient in a video game, but it is still the worst thing ever. Especially thanks to Zombunny Creations on Amino Apps, okay? We've got both Nightmare and Nightmare Fredbear. Ironically enough, Nightmare Fredbear is played by their twin sister. It's ironic because Elizabeth Apton is sometimes presumed to be Crying Child's twin sister, and anyway, these absolute hulking costumes are going to make me, let's say, drop a Snickers bar in my pants. If I saw this in real life, Jesus, imagine like actually like living in a house that's kind of laid out out like the one from FNAF 4, and then like your kids want to play a prank on you, and then they dress in these and they come from either side. For God's sakes, I would actually rather die. If that is what's going to happen, I do not want kids. My grandparents' house is kind of laid out like that. Like not exactly, but it has like 2 sections of like on either side of the room, okay? So that could theoretically be reenacted, and if that ever happens, I'm going to cry. So if you start delivering my pizza dressed as Nightmare, actually good for you. Getting close to the end in number 3, deliver pizzas. The mini game that opens FNAF 6 isn't like anything else we've seen. Okay, well, it's kind of like Take Cake, but this time you're throwing pizzas at kids' screaming faces, and honestly, I love that idea. The fantasy of throwing a pizza in the screaming kid's face has been present ever since those little buggers in my old building bounced their basketball off my door and made my dog go absolutely nuts. But even without my secret thoughts, this would still be a fun arcade game, and I'm not letting you fight me on this. The difficulty of the game was already defined even before the real FNAF 6 started, and it was cool. But then throw in added difficulty of it being a full game and you have a whole new experience. At least, I think it would be at least, so can't be sure unless we try. Penultimately, in number 2, Midnight Motorist. Midnight Motorist is another one of those games that you could test in FNAF 6 that just feels right. The game is pretty simple, but it's certainly exactly what we need in an arcade cabinet at a pizzeria. A game for the short attention span of a child. You simply drive around until you run into 3 things, then boom, it's game over. You get tickets based on how far you went, or it's one of those lame ones where you don't get tickets at all because there's no feasible way to calculate that, which would also be kind of understandable. Or you just get 3. You know the ones I'm talking about. Midnight Motorist would make a good arcade game aside from the whole yellow guy mustard man debacle, so cut that part out and you're in the money, baby. Go forth and collect the king's tax of tickets and tokens. And finally, in at number 1, Fruity Maze. Fruity Maze, I think, was the obvious first choice here because while yes, the game does progressively get darker, it doesn't have to. You can stick to the original like level 1 Fruity Maze motif, add a proper goal or objective, and then have a weird FNAF version of a Pac-Man style game. Boom, you're done. Just don't make it depressing and allow the player to continue as long as they can, just like a normal Pac-Man game would work, and you're good. And you're golden. Golden Bonnie, dare I say. And maybe throw in a certain level where it's like the messed up dog, flowers, and blood kind of thing just to make sure it's authentic, because knowing these comments, you'll all be disappointed and even get mad if these things don't turn into something dark and twisted. I don't know about something like new being added to the series in the real world, but like, I don't know if you'd want that to be twisted and disturbing. Like if it was a new arcade game, for example, but something like Fruity Maze, you'd insist on it. So yeah, I know you're all sick and I love you for it. And it's 7, Happiest Day. The Happiest Day minigame is some of the most important lore and moments in the series, with the original missing children from the first missing children's incident from 1985 getting their souls released, showing that there are multiple ways to deal with what would later be called Remnant, the infusion of metal and soul, or rather metal and extreme emotion, or maybe in Springtrap's case, metal. Get it? Because his human meat is also in the suit. Never mind. Either way, the Happiest Day minigame is not a simple one-shot minigame. There's some build-up to it. It's like the main story of FNAF 3, so seeing those various minigames and glitches come together into a single arcade cabinet would be a beautiful sight. Almost as beautiful as Glamrock Chica. I mean, as my idea for a real FNAF pizzeria, which you should go totally watch, by the way. It's in one of the corners. I don't know which one anymore. And at 6, Claw Machine. This is pretty dark, but you people seem to love that kind of thing. So what about a claw machine that was designed to be Baby while she was grabbing Elizabeth? Is that too far? Like a claw machine that's built to look like the baby animatronic on the outside with a window on the stomach where the claw would come out. And that's where the claw machine is. I think that would not only be a fun way to make it a FNAF themed claw machine, but it would also be dark as hell, and I love that kind of thing. Plus, it's about a fictional death, so it's not really distasteful. The idea also stands that this is something out of the box for this list, and I wanted to see what you thought about it, rather than just ranting on about the various minigames in the series for 10 minutes. However, it's time to get back to that, so moving on. Halfway through into number 5, Corn Maze. Corn Maze is one of the most stressful games in all of FNAF VR, compared only to the likes of the hallway from that very same DLC. Corn Maze revolves around you walking through a maze made of walls, not corn, for some reason, in search of colored keys. These keys unlock their respectively colored gate and result in you winning. However, Grim Foxy is chasing you and he always knows where you are. The only way to really get him off your tail, pun intended, is to hide behind cardboard cutouts after he notices you. The maze is also filled with clusters of crows that will alert Foxy to your location if stepped on, which will result in him finding you faster, as well as scaring the living hell out of you. This game, in the same vein as the Help Wanted flat mode version, but controlled with a joy joystick and buttons would work incredibly well, and you wouldn't have to find all 4 keys to unlock a secret one. You just don't have a secret one, and you're golden. Man, I'm a genius. And at 4, Security Puppet. Ah yes, Security Puppet. One of the 3 mini-games required to play through to completion for the Lorekeeper ending of FNAF 6. And let's be honest, you should always play mini-games through to completion, otherwise it's just mean. The Security Puppet minigame was pretty simple. Keep the assigned child away from the exit. However, the only catch is that there was no assigned child until the 3rd time booting up the game, where the child will already be outside, thus you failing. We know that this child is Charlie, who goes on to possess the puppet, and this was the only time we've seen a kill from 2 different angles. However, a game kind of like a Where's Waldo kind of thing with security bracelets seems like a wonderful and simple idea, especially when we know what the character is really trying to prevent. Would there be a green bracelet character, or would we only be looking for the green band? I don't know, it would be up to Scott. Also, Scott, or I guess whoever takes over next, please do this. And at 3, Therapy. Some of these comments make me really think that there should be a group fund for FNAF fan therapy sessions because, dear lord, I make a lot of jokes, okay? But like, I hope that these comments are jokes or supposed to be funny because, fingers as toppings? You want to watch the bite of 83 or 87? What the actual The comments on our first short about this delivery service, ignore me pronouncing first wrong, are very concerning if anything is supposed to be real. Okay, this is a part of why Scott kept saying that he wasn't going to make a real FNAF. And I think that this is like the best way that he could compromise to make it happen for the people who were good and wanted it, instead of, you know, the people like this. Like, why would he want to make an actual location if people keep commenting stuff like this? Seriously, I feel genuine concern for you if you're being serious about wanting to possess an animatronic. Yeah, be a fan of the series and love the series as much as you want. Don't sacrifice your life to try to make the series real. Okay, that's not a good thing. Look at all the bad things that happened in the series. Plus, possession isn't real, especially in the same way that FNAF's possession works, okay? That's entirely fictional. And besides, there is no actual FNAF restaurant or location for you to go to anyway, so please stop commenting it, at least on our videos, so I don't have to see it. Ignorance is truly bliss. And ultimately, in at number 2, no Mr. Beast. I've seen a load of comments about people saying, why would Mr. Beast do this, or making jokes like Mr. Beast is gonna do a whoever kills 5 kids first gets $1 million video, but Mr. Beast has no affiliation with Virtual Dining Concepts, which is the company making this delivery service possible, okay? Mr. Beast doesn't own it, he doesn't have any stake in it from what I know, he has nothing to do with Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Delivery. I don't want there to be any issues that come up because people think that he is affiliated with this, okay? Jimmy has nothing to do with Freddy's. He only has affiliation with Mr. Beast Burger, which was also made possible by Virtual Dining Concepts. Me introducing it like that was just that you know that it was real. The company that made Mr. Beast Burger possible also is making FNAF possible. The two aren't related, except just because the company made both happen. I don't know if that makes you disappointed or happy about it, but there is no connection to Mr. Beast whatsoever unless they end up sponsoring him for a video so that they can like get the word out even more, or so that he can make like a version of the restaurant for a video and invite FNAF tubers or FNAF fans over for a chance to win it in a similar fashion to how he invited people over to win a chocolate factory. But even if that video does happen, it will only be a sponsorship deal and not an actual partnership, okay? It's like just like when YouTubers get sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, okay? It's just a sponsor. We don't have any stake in Raid, okay? It would only be a sponsorship deal, okay? And the location that he would make wouldn't actually be a restaurant. It would only be used for that video and then it would be dismantled. Possibly even in the same place that he built the chocolate factory, assuming that he's renting like that unit or owns it. And finally, in at number 1, delivery service. I cannot emphasize this enough, okay? I saw a lot of people commenting saying that there's a real location finally, or asking where it is, or why would they do that? It's not that kind of restaurant. It's not a restaurant, it's a delivery service. Just like how you can't actually walk into a Mr. Beast Burger, there will be no physical location for you to visit. The whole point of Virtual Dining Concepts is that existing kitchens have the ability to make these, and they can opt in, turning them into outlets for these recipes. Like when you order Mr. Beast Burger, there is no actual Mr. Beast Burger restaurant. It's something that like a Wendy's or something is like making the food either in their kitchen or in a food truck on their property, but you can't actually like go up to that food truck and order. It will be the same concept for this place, okay, but with places that already serve these kinds of food. As it says on the Virtual Dining Concepts website, quote, "Don't change who you are. We have brands that fit your current kitchen, suppliers, and way of working." So, there is, and most likely will not be, a Real Freddy Fazbear's unless Scott intends to make it like a 2-week special location in the future for potential lore or whatever, okay? But there is none at the moment, and there won't be when this launches. You just order this on food delivery apps, okay? No. In a 10 Halloween special. Given FNAF's track record with various expansions around Halloween, I feel like it would only make sense to have some form of Halloween special thing around these delivery restaurants. Whether it be a special menu item with or maybe like even a discount. FNAF has released so much Halloween DLC with FNAF 4 and FNAF VR that it would just make sense to have something to do with Halloween with this delivery service, okay? And like I said, whether it be like a limited menu item, like maybe like some candy from FNAF VR, or as Amanda suggested to me, chocolate cockroaches, since apparently you can eat cockroaches in FNAF VR. Apparently it's also required to get the Let's Eat achievement, which is hilarious, but it could also just be like a random Halloween theme for the store, alright? That you can just like as you're scrolling through, you can see like Springtrap or the puppet watching us while we just scroll and needlessly spend our money only to make us sit on our couches and watch more YouTube. I mean, like, if you're watching us, that's probably the best way to spend the inevitable end of the world, but I mean, like, come on. And at 9, Fizzy Faz. Fizzy Faz is a set of items that can be found in Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, and using them, or like obtaining them, actually increases the player's stamina, and they can be found in different locations around the map. Fizzy Faz appears to be a Fazbear Entertainment branded soda line, featuring the main animatronics of this game, and sold like exclusively at the Pizzaplex. Each member of the animatronic band is featured on the cans, and they have like a flavor that represents their like color, I think, which is kind of weird, but that's a whole other thing. Okay, there's an orange flavored Fizzy Faz sponsored by Glamrock Freddy. It was located in like a control room when you first enter basement 1. There's a sour lime flavored Fizzy Faz sponsored by Montgomery Gator. I mean, it could have been something other than lime. I feel like lime, so like gotta do the lemon and lime to actually make it work, but whatever. Pink Lemonade sponsored by Glamrock Chica, and a grape flavored Fizzy Faz sponsored by Roxanne. Again, I feel like there could have been better options for that, because I mean, like, she has hardly any purple on her. She has more red, so you could have done cherry, but you know what, that's just me. But having those cans, or even just that kind of branding available on the app, would be pretty sick, even if it's just like in the style of like those Funko soda cans, you know, like that have the figure inside, or maybe it's just like a beer cozy or something. That would be fun. And at 8, themed meals. Just like how McDonald's has like the Happy Meals, Freddy's could have some form of themed meals as well, whether they be based on the games or on a favorite animatronic. I think that there would definitely be some form of like pizza, it's like a food theme that you can order, especially with the pizza. If there aren't like different combinations for the different popular animatronics, I'm gonna be mad, okay? I need to be able to order Chica's favorite pizza mashup, okay? I need the Freddy Fazbear Meat Lovers, or maybe the Monty Gator Meat Lovers, because he's a crocodile, and crocodiles are meat. You know what I mean, okay? The Freddy Fazbear one might have like anchovies on it, because like he's a bear and anchovies are fish, you know? I think it would certainly help make this place feel like more of a Fazbear delivery service than just another pizza restaurant, okay? Like how Mr. Beast has like the whole like Carl's grilled cheese, or like the Chandler burger on his store. Yeah, this is that kind of concept, except it's just themed for animatronics instead of people. And at 7, menu. We don't currently have a proper menu for the Fazbear service yet, but currently what we know is that according to Virtual Dining Concepts website, quote, "The easy to execute menu features craveable pizza rolls with a unique twist and game tie-ins that new and current fans will want to order over and over again." Now, whether the unique twist is death or a special topping is one thing, however, I'm pretty sure that we can all guess they'll also be serving pizza with a variety of customizable topping, especially according to their Twitter, since they did ask what our favorite pizza topping was in a tweet. I'm disappointed that there weren't more favorite pizza place jokes in there, in those replies. However, based on the comments on our first short on the subject, there are going to be some scarier replies to that tweet as well, because it's Twitter. Luckily, I don't think they'll be adding fingers to the meat add-ons. We can also guess that they'll be serving similar stuff to like a normal Chuck E. Cheese or a pizza place, so soda, chicken as well, because Chica, I'm guessing, mini brownies, and probably a small variety of desserts. They may even have cake, because it's supposed to be a place you can go for your birthday, which I think would make the most sense, but only if the kitchen that ends up taking on this additional menu would also normally make cake. And at 6, no relation. XBlue is a YouTube group that has been working on making multiple FNAF locations real. They've done FNAF 4 and recently seemingly completed a recreation of FNAF 1, despite their channel description saying in progress, but their video saying that it's done. So maybe they're adding the finishing touches right now. The YouTube channel, to my knowledge, has no affiliation with virtual dining concepts or Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Delivery. However, their videos are incredibly cool and interesting, so if you want to see their rendition of a real FNAF, go check them out on YouTube, okay? I'm sure that if you're this deep into the FNAF algorithm, you've already seen it, but I might as well point you in their direction anyway, okay? Go subscribe to them. They're pretty cool. However, they do not have any relation to virtual dining concepts or this delivery service as far as I know, okay? There also is no real location for this delivery service to operate from, again, so their videos have nothing to do with this announcement. Honestly, the announcement seems like it was rushed, again, because we ended up finding out thanks to the website having the information, then everyone started tweeting about it. But we were like, actually, we were 2 days late to the party on that short, by the way. That was a whole other thing that was 2 days before, and I was like, oh, we should probably release a short. And besides, if they were affiliated, wouldn't they have made the FNAF 1 location first instead of second after FNAF 4? Or wouldn't they just have not posted it on YouTube because, you know, NDAs, legal stuff, Scott loving the element of surprise? Yeah, I'd think so too. And at 4, no animatronics. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. There is no actual location, meaning that there won't be any animatronics that you can meet, unless your Uber Eats driver wants to go the extra mile and for some reason has a spare FNAF costume laying in his trunk or in his backpack. I don't really think it's gonna happen, and you know what, if they do have a spare one, that's gonna be questionable. Obviously, things can change, like they may have a uniform or something to give to the drivers, but I can pretty much guarantee that that's not going to happen. Yeah, especially not like that, okay? If Mr. Beast even doesn't do that with Mr. Beast Burger, and it's Mr. Beast, I don't think that they're gonna be doing it for anyone else, okay? Sorry guys, but you won't be meeting any actual animatronics unless some seriously hardcore drivers go all out, or there's some secret ARG elements that Scott plans on including that we have no idea about, okay? But also, that's not me saying that there is an ARG. I don't fully believe that there is, but the appearance of a Freddy Fazbear's delivery service after the community had been told that no non-official business would participate is very sus in my opinion, okay? Scott is a sussy baka, all aboard the sus bus. Plus, it said that the pizza rolls are gonna have game tie-ins. So, unless that's like a name, that's additionally sus. Dude, it's like I'm seeing this delivery service vent all over Skeld. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, good food. However, personally, I would like to see actually good food come out of the delivery service, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have high hopes for it. I am pretty skeptical, mostly because they're just menu items that the restaurant that is doing this will also start making, and since the quality of those items is only associated with the virtual dining concept store, being Fazbear delivery service, instead of actually the restaurant that's making it, they can probably get away with slacking. Since if the quality of, let's say, your Mr. Beast Burger isn't the greatest, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not going to order from Mr. Beast Burger again, despite it being the Wendy's that made it. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, I can order from Wendy's, but let's avoid Mr. Beast Burger despite them being literally the same kitchen. Do you see what I'm saying? So, like, I'm hoping that these restaurants are actually end up making this, like, that make the food will be making enough from it that they actually want to have it be good quality, even after the initial wave of orders, okay? I also hope that we'll have more than just like pizza and like the same pizza that the place would make regularly, okay? For some reason I have the idea of like pizza balls from the Multiverse of Madness, okay? because honestly, that would be unique and that would be awesome. But like, aside from the pizza rolls that they initially said that they would have, okay, the ones with like the unique twist and game tie-ins that we still have no idea what that means, I want more unique things than just pizza rolls. You know, you get me? But ultimately, in at number 2, inside jokes. Now, this kind of goes hand in hand with the exotic butters thing, but I'm thinking like fandom specific jokes. You know, like, yes, exotic butters, but what about the rest? Amanda suggested Coffee's Coffee from Scott's other game, A Desolate Hope, and honestly, I think that that's a great idea. I mean, Coffee's character is canon in FNAF thanks to the FNAF 3 VR Easter egg where Coffee can appear on your desk, and maybe A Desolate Hope is one of the in-universe Scott's other games that he made before he was being paid by Fazbear to start making fun of their tragedies, so I think that it would absolutely be possible and funny to include that as a bit of a nod to the fans. There are also plenty of other jokes that they could reference, be it in the packaging or other products. Obviously, there were the ones that we mentioned previously, pizza for the main cast of the animatronics, toys that could have some jokes as well, like maybe a Buff Helpy toy, which would be actually terrifying. Please don't do that. There are like, even if some of the boxes have like Toy Freddy being aggressive or something, I think that those would be a great way to help make the fans feel like they're getting a little bit of extra value out of their order because they know the series. Otherwise, like, what's the point of being invested in it if there's no jokes or hints to pick up on, you know? Like, kind of like a relationship, because all those have gone so well for me. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, giant flashing sarcasm sign, and like the gif from Big Bang Theory, you know? And finally, in at number 1, secret lore. I think finally the thing that we all want is for there to be some kind of secret lore that is going to be revealed with these restaurants. Like maybe a secret code here and there, or maybe they end up revealing who caused the bite of 87 for real, or finally confirm that Crying Child is the one you should not have killed because no one believes me. But no matter what way you slice it, I think that we're all hoping for and even kind of expecting some secrets to come out of these restaurants. I mean, we got it with the Fazbear Frights books, we got it with the sister location toys because, you know, you bought them all and they all made Ennard. We even got it with the goddamn survival logbook. So, especially in lieu of this being discovered after MatPat suggested a potential FNAF ARG, I think we're all going to be surprised if this has nothing to do with that possibility. Honestly, I'm fairly certain that the only reason the Twitter account was revealed despite joining in January of 2021 was because of this leak and because people found out, okay? They were certainly going to be more delayed before revealing, suggesting that this was probably going to open in 2023, which also just so happens to be the time that Fazbear's Fright opens in Universe, the location we explore in FNAF 3, which if you thought was opening later or earlier than that, I hope that this confirms the time frame for you, but like these things aren't a coincidence. Not with Scott, not with the man who released the second FNAF game 87 days after the first, assuming that the first one would fail. No way, unless I'm crazy, which is entirely possible. In at 10, Scrap Baby. Scrap Baby is a creepy animatronic, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay, Scrap Baby is by far creepier than the normal baby animatronic because, I mean, it's scrapped, so this costume certainly does it justice. Animatronics are a difficult costume to really make, okay? I mean, it's understandable because, you know, we're people and unfortunately don't have robotic limbs for the most part. Or if we do, we typically try and make it look like a real leg instead of a robot leg, but Scrap Baby is even more difficult because, you know, it's a scrap animatronic and it has a giant freaking claw. So yeah, Scrap Baby is very damaged and it's a recycled version of Baby, okay? Realistic reddish, orange, light blue hair, yellow pigtails. It's weird, alright? It's weird, okay? She has an orange top with red furls and it's very damaged. Yet somehow Instagram user Gaia Spaziani was able to recreate this in an awesome way, okay? So very well done, and maybe you can use it as inspiration for yourself. In at 9, Springtrap. Oh boy. Craftix Gaming's YouTube channel features a video of a real Springtrap costume, and honestly, it's terrifying. Springtrap is the main antagonist of FNAF 3, and this costume is freaking nuts, okay? This is a very good costume, and while Springtrap may not be the scariest animatronic per se, he's not someone that I'm gonna tussle with, you know? However, I do want to talk about what's going on with this character, because my guy, you just dressed up as a possessed man who is inhabiting an animatronic unable to die, but yet still somehow somehow decaying. I don't get it. You're quite literally dressing up as a serial killer at this point. Like in the FNAF world, if you dressed up like this, it would be you dressed up as like Ted Bundy. It was like an equivalent in this world, okay? So if you want to be in FNAF that badly, maybe don't dress as a serial killer is all I'm saying, okay? I know that's ironic coming from me, given that I wear a purple shirt on the regular, but do I look like I want to be in FNAF? No, I cry about it on the daily. I have made things very clear that I don't want to be in this world, and if you don't know that, go watch more videos, okay? But this is nuts, okay? That's insane, and if Springtrap was delivering me my pizza, I probably would cry. Inundate Ennard. Costumes don't really have to be elaborate to be scary, okay? Take this for example. This Ennard cosplay by the YouTube channel Skywarped33. This entire endoskeleton, like spaghetti bits, they aren't there, but the lights and sounds make it even more frightening than you'd think, okay? The face also opens up, and I think that we all know how I feel about animatronics who can move their face at will, or at least move their face in separate sections, okay? It's not something that should be allowed. However, even without all the parts and the various eyes, this Ennard cosplay is not something that I would want to run into in a dark alley, especially not after that goddamn vent repair minigame, because that caused me to have serious issues, okay? I used to like spaghetti, man, okay? Now what do? I won't be ordering spaghetti from this delivery service, that's for damn sure, although if they do have Ennard spaghetti on the menu, I might have to. But no, okay? Especially if the driver shows up wearing this, because holy crap, that would be terrifying, and I would rather die than see a real life Ennard. So yeah, maybe actually don't do this, at least if you're delivering to me. In at 7, the Sun and Moon Drop Candy. The daycare attendant is a sun and moon headed animatronic themed thing, creepy dude that is consisting of two personalities that share the same vessel and security breach. The character is like a mascot for two candy brands though, and they go by the names of Sunny Drop Energizing Candy and Moon Drop Sleepy Time Candy. These candies are actually how we figured out the name of the animatronic, but the animatronic, like he chills out in like the daycare, which is a whole other like question, but then as soon as the lights go off, the moon shows up, and it's unknown if moon is activated when the lights go out in the daycare specifically, or if it's just when the area around him is dark. But however, being able to order the candy would actually be kind of cool. It would be a great addition to the app. I mean, it wouldn't really be like, it wouldn't actually be energizing or sleepy candy, because I mean that's just caffeine and melatonin pills, but even if it's like just branded hard candy, I feel like it would be kind of a cool addition. It would in essence be a form of collector's item because of that, and the amount of exclusives that this service could have kind of horrifies me. As someone who is constantly broke, the amount of exclusives, this is gonna be costly. I might have to give up literally my apartment for it. In at 6, toys! There are so many toys in the FNAF universe that I don't even know. I don't even need to talk about security breach in this sense. In FNAF VR, there are a ton of prize counter items, okay? In this game, prizes are unlocked at the end of the levels, okay? The player will open a present with a hand crank. It's kind of similar to a Jack-in-the-Box thing. Then you'll receive a random prize or a jump scare. There are 105 separate prize items in Help Wanted, and 70 of those are not food items. Even if we went to like the action figures only, much like how McDonald's and Burger King gave out or used to give out toys, the Happy Meals, maybe like the Fazbear delivery service could do the same thing, but not a Happy Meal, because you know, copyright. I don't quite know how it would work. They would need smaller versions of those action figures and whatnot, and I feel like it would be a lot, but it would be a little something extra for the kids who wouldn't really be satisfied having just FNAF branded food, which I mean is understandable. Like, you don't buy food, you rent it. Am I right, fellas? Just me? Okay, well, I don't really want to keep a greasy branded pizza box around my apartment as a memory, okay? So like, an optional toy would be a good idea. I also have no FNAF merch aside from that one shirt that I can't find anymore, so yeah. Halfway through in at number 5, Exotic Butters. Exotic Butters. Exotic Butters. Cringy white guy aside, despite the terrifying ships involving Exotic Butters with other characters, yeah, sad to say I'm not exaggerating that. Exotic Butters x Ennard is a real thing. Go watch the video. It would still be nice to have an Exotic Butters joke somewhere in this delivery service. Maybe a certain dish or category of food is made with quote-unquote exotic butters. Or maybe they just like sell sticks of butter that are imported from somewhere else. I mean, it would be absolutely hilarious. They could also just do a thing where like you're ordering a basket of bread or whatever, but instead send exotic butters, like kind of like that scene from Sister Location. Or since that would probably cause some issues with people who don't actually understand the joke, maybe just like an April Fool's Day joke thing where like every time you click on a menu item it just says you're ordering exotic butters. I don't know, they may lose business that day, but it would be hilarious, and I feel like Scott doesn't really care about making money, so who knows. I don't quite know how it would work, but I mean, exotic butters is such a low-hanging fruit at this point, and I didn't think about it until Amanda reminded me, which is kind of sad. And for branding, I think that the appeal of this delivery service isn't going to be the food exactly, okay? It's going to be the fact that you're ordering from a place known as Freddy Fazbear's, and that's really the whole driving point behind this business venture. That's what it is, okay? Honestly, the only reason people order from Mr. Beast Burger is because they like Mr. Beast and or want him to notice them, kind of like tier 3 subs on Twitch. Yeah, despite it being a very, very low possibility, because, you know, it's Uber Eats, you still try. And before you tell me it's because you like the food, that seems impossible to me. I mean, unless Mr. Beast Burger is different in the States. Okay, I've ordered it twice and maybe got a couple of the most disappointing meals I've gotten on a delivery app, okay? The worst one was when the driver put my pizza box upside down, but like that's not the point. My point is that if people are going to order Fazbear's, it's going to be because it's Fazbear, okay? Even if the food isn't great. So driving home the branding and making it really good and iconic is going to do a lot for them in the long run, especially after the novelty wears off when it first releases. Trust me, okay? I went to school for this kind of thing, so I have a pretty good idea. Plus, also, have you seen this channel? Branding things with FNAF is kind of my thing. In at 3, Withered Bonnie. This Withered Bonnie cosplay is probably one of the scariest FNAF cosplays I've seen and the scariest Bonnie cosplay. It is incredible that someone could actually do this, and it comes from the YouTube user The Nick of Time. At first, I legitimately thought that this was CGI instead of an actual costume, but lo and behold, it was just an insanely cool costume. Glowing eyes, seemingly actual aluminum parts, and a chest that opens that you can push out with the other hand, which results in actually quite the decent jump scare, okay? Frankly, in the video, I was kind of taken aback by that, so you know what? If that's where my pizza came out of, I don't know if I would take it. This kind of thing always impresses the hell out of me because, like, so far, the closest I've come to making a full costume was when I helped someone work on a costume, okay? But that's the closest I've got, and I can't even think to make something like this. So if you show up and my pizza pops out of like your abdomen chest area, I'm gonna tip you 100%. That's insane. But ultimately, in number 2, Glitch Trap. We know my issue with Glitch Trap, alright? We know that I just want to watch William Afton burn in the deepest pits of hell and then leave me be. I want him to be in actual hell and then stay there for all of eternity so that I can move on with my life, okay? I hate this I always come back thing that he's got going on, okay? It's stupid. And despite being dressed as the purple guy on various occasions, I still want William dead. So, when I saw this frighteningly realistic looking Glitch Trap costume, my nerves hit an all-time high. I think the sheer simplicity of a Glitch Trap suit is definitely something that makes this a hell of a creepy costume since, you know, the stitches here are very accentuated. It's very clear, it has higher contrast than the actual suit in the game, but either way, it's freaking creepy. And if a serial killer is going to hand me my pizza, I don't know, I was gonna say something that would make the cops concerned, and I feel like I've done that enough, so like, let's not have serial killers hand me my pizza, okay? But you know what, good job, Zombunny Creations on Twitter, okay? But like, why'd you do this to me? And finally, into number 1, Purple Guy. While Purple Guy, again, isn't an animatronic, and I guess neither is Glitch Trap or Vanny, but you know what, I had to pad out this list somehow. I think seeing some dude dressed in purple delivering me my freaking Freddy Fazbear branded pizza would actually scare me to death. Like, I don't wear purple on this channel anymore because people kept calling me the Purple Guy and the cops don't need any more ammunition against me, but also because I can't actually find that shirt at the moment. But still, this is something that I would absolutely do. If I had a car, I honestly might have actually delivered food for the Freddy Fazbear's pizza delivery service if it ends up opening in Canada. And you know damn well that if I was was doing it, I would be dressing in all purple with a security badge on my chest, maybe even like a purple phone case for the occasion, just because it would be hilarious. Okay, I don't need a spring lock crank. Those aren't actually a thing in real life. While the term spring lock is used in real life, it's a totally different mechanism from what's actually in FNAF, okay? I'm certain most of you get the whole spring locks are real line from the Spring Locks and You How to Not Die Remastered thread from the FNAF wiki. However, actual spring locks are just locks that use spring. Like, from my research, what I gathered was that a spring lock in real life is, in simplest terms, if your front door's deadbolt was on a spring. Every other instance talking about real spring locks is just, it simply brings you to that page, or it quotes that page. So yeah, spring locks as they're used in the games do not exist in real life. Okay, the term is used, but in the real life it's two separate words instead of one, and they are nowhere close to the same thing. With the red and black squares along the wall, potentially outlined with additional decoration, you would also need to either replace or repaint the tables and booths and stuff like that, along with replacing the posters on the wall and the banners hanging above. The purple would also be changed to another color, most likely red, or maybe more of the red and black square pattern we see along the walls in the first couple games. The animatronics, if included, could easily be updated with Freddy, Chica, and Bonnie designs. Well, I mean like easy in comparison to everything else that needs to be done. And once that's done, you just need to replace the songs that play out of the speakers, and then boom, you got working stage shows. I don't know if Foxy would need to have his own section, or if you'd want to like add that off to the side, or if you want to use the kind of like separate stage that's on some of the Chuck E. Cheese stages. I don't know, it depends on the location, if it actually has one. But other than that, that's just more construction work. Now, what makes this different than your typical kids play joint, you ask? Well, it does actually have the FNAF characters, not infringing on copyright because Scott would be doing this all himself. There is another aspect of the place that I think would make this even more unique and bring in more sales. FNAF is a horror franchise after all, and for some reason a whole load of these kids love being scared crapless by the many animatronics. So why shouldn't this location offer a spooky surprise for anyone willing to come after dark? Much like how Security Breach will have a day and night cycle, why not let the restaurants have the same? Where instead of closing at 9 p.m, they swap to a creepy and horror-themed joint where the kids can come to get scared while eating pizza and playing games. You know, the lights can flicker, you have people dressed up. Like a year-round haunted house. We could even get some of the games we see in Pizzeria Simulator, like Fruity Maze and Midnight Motorist, and real physical arcade machines. All you need is a TV monitor. People do it all the time on YouTube. It would actually be an incredible idea that would suck in a lot more people and increase profits late into the night. This also works for adults who are fans of the series, who may not want to deal with the children and the kid-friendly atmosphere that the location would have during the day. This time frame would feature actors in the FNAF suits, but not Springlock suits because, well, we all know how that ends. But this would be just like a Halloween haunt for our Canadian friends, or whatever Disney does. It's like Halloween Horror Nights or whatever it's called over there. People in costumes who can't touch but aim to scare, maybe jiggling some doors or hiring actors working as kids or patrons who get lured away, maybe even making a Nightmare Fredbear suit. There is so much that you can do. Oh, you can have like Foxy slowly peek out from behind it unless someone like looks or something like that. You can have him slowly peek out and then you can... Ah! Eventually, of course, you could expand, opening more Fazbear locations at the other closed Chuck E. Cheeses. And I feel like Chuck E. Cheese would be down for that too, because the resulting competition could help boost their sales as well, since there would be kids who don't want to go to a horror-themed joint at night, but have a newly ignited or rediscovered joy for pizzeria arcades and animatronic bands. And hell, even as a joke, you could open up Chica's Party World, because we all know that Scott's gonna have some form of like ARG with these locations if this is actually a thing. Scott, I have an idea for that too. Hit me up. The menu would serve pizza, obviously, but also themed meals like Chica's Chicken Wings or Bonnie's Breakfast for Dinner, since, you know, eggs. Maybe Foxy's Flapjacks. It will definitely use a little work, but I'm honestly thinking it would taste and look incredible, both the menu and the food respectively. I have a design in mind, but let's be honest, I can't show my whole hand, can I? No, I actually gotta leave some stuff to actually hopefully make this a thing. So, cause you know, if there's some mystery, Scott might actually like, you know, cause we all know how he loves mystery. And Scott, by the way, I'm happy to help. I love this series and would travel to see a Fazbear restaurant like this happen. And if you go with the Florida location like I suggested, everything is open, so you're already good to go. Maybe not morally speaking, but just like roleplay William Afton and you'll be fine. So, share this video with Scott on Reddit and any other media you can so he can help see it. Sky Daddy Scott, please make this a thing and please let me help. I promise I will be professional and I won't actually call you Sky Daddy Scott to your face.